How do we solve this? What is the quadrant? What is the related acute angle equivalent? Let's begin with question number 1, 50 degrees. Now, if you look at this now, the first thing to do is to just draw a diagram representing it. So 50 degrees is a positive angle. So the positive angle is in anticlockwise direction of 50 degrees. Now, this falls in the first quadrant. And the acute angle simply in the first quadrant, if you recall well, the acute angle in the first quadrant is x is equals to theta. In the second quadrant, it is x is equals to 180 minus theta. In the third quadrant, x is equals to theta minus 180. And in the fourth quadrant, x is equals to 360 minus theta. Therefore, the related acute angle equivalent here is x is equals to 50 degrees. Let's take the next question, which is question 2, which is minus 50 degrees. Now we can see total difference here. The first question is positive 50, next question is negative 50. Now we understand that positive angles is in the anticlockwise direction and negative angles is in the clockwise direction. So with this, we can draw something for the negative angle in the clockwise direction. So in the clockwise direction, we have 50 degrees. And now, if you recall, if we have angle like this, the acute angle is simply x. So which is what we have here, 50 degrees. This is in the fourth quadrant, and the acute angle x is equals to what? 50 degrees. Let's move on to question number 3. Question number 3 says 110 degrees. 110 degrees. Now, 110 degrees is in which quadrant? And how then do we evaluate the related acute angle equivalent? If you look at this now, 110 degrees is greater than 90 degrees and is also less than 180 degrees. So considering that, we will have something like this, where the angle here in the anticlockwise direction is 110 degrees. Now the remaining acute angle is going to be called x. If we look at this, the acute angle in the second quadrant is 180 minus theta. So now we know that this is in the second quadrant. And the relative acute angle is 180 minus theta. So which is 180 minus 110 degrees, which will give us 70 degrees. Next is negative 110 degrees. So let's call this question number 4, negative 110 degrees. Now let's apply the negative angle formula, which starts from the positive and moves through the anticlockwise direction. Remember, this is 0 degrees. So when it moves here, it moves in 110 degrees. 110 degrees. Now in this case, we are looking for the relative acute angle, which is always in corresponding to the x-axis. So we are looking for this angle x. Now this represents the third quadrant. This represents the third quadrant, and here we can see that the relative angle equivalent is simply x is equals to, because these two angles represents the sum of angles of the straight line. Therefore we say x plus 110 degrees is equals to 180 degrees. Therefore, x is equals to 180 degrees minus 110 degrees, which is equals to 70 degrees. So minus 110 degrees is in the third quadrant with relative acute angle of 70 degrees. Let's look at number 5, which is 246 degrees. Question number 5, 246 degrees. Now this is positive angle. 246 degrees is greater than 180 degrees, but it is less than 270 degrees. So in short, this is in the third quadrant. So let's draw our Cartesian plane for the third quadrant. So we have the angle represented here, 246 degrees. And we know that for the third quadrant, the acute angle is simply 1 theta minus 180 degrees. So we are looking for x. 240 degrees, 246 is our theta. So this will give us 246 minus 180 degrees. And this would give us 66 degrees. And finally, question number 6, which is negative 318 degrees. Negative 318 degrees. Negative 318 degrees. So now, with that, we can draw its represented in the diagram. Negative angles is like this. So it moves to 90, goes to 180, minus 120, and we have minus 318 degrees. So the related acute angle in this case will be what? X. The question now is, what quadrant does this fall into? This falls in the first quadrant. And the related acute angle, we're simply going to evaluate the angle at the point where we say that x plus 318 degrees is equals to 360 degrees. Therefore, x will be equals to 360 degrees minus 318 degrees. And this would give us 42 degrees. Now let's draw this in a table. We have the angle, we have the quadrant, and then we'll have the acute equivalent. The first angle we had was 50 degrees. 50 degrees, as we evaluated, is in the first quadrant, and the relative acute angle is also 50 degrees. So this is in the first quadrant, and the acute angle is 50 degrees. The next was minus 50 degrees. Minus 50 degrees is in the fourth quadrant. The related acute angle is also 50 degrees. Minus 50 degrees is in the fourth quadrant, 50 degrees. Moving on to question number 3, which is 110 degrees. 110 degrees is in the second quadrant. The related acute angle is 70 degrees. 110 degrees is in the second quadrant with 70 degrees. Similarly, minus 110 degrees is in which quadrant? We can see here is in the third quadrant with acute angle of 70 degrees. Third quadrant, acute angle of 70 degrees. Question number 5, which is 246 degrees. 246 degrees is in the third quadrant with acute angle of 66 degrees. Third quadrant, acute angle of 66 degrees. And finally, we have minus 318 degrees is represented in the first quadrant because we considered the negative angle moving in the clockwise direction, and it has an acute equivalent of 42 degrees. So first quadrant, an acute equivalent of 42 degrees. So we can see how it is necessary for us not just to know the direction of the angle, but also to know the acute angle equivalent of that angle.